Wow. So I've read it in the past, and this book just hadn't spoken to me like it's speaking to me right now. It's the seven habits of highly effective people, and I know everybody's first thought when it's a book like Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, you think like, oh, it's another one of those success books and blah blah blah. Honestly, this book is largely about like what I'm getting out of it so far is it's about perspective. And I wanted to share a story with you guys real quick that comes from the book, and I want to share just some of the things from my past that I feel like are very things that can really help people, and I hope this helps one of you today. But in the book, it talks about perspective and perspective being everything and perceptions, and it tells a story of a man on a train, and the train is peaceful. There's a group of people. It doesn't say how many people are on the train, but he's on the train, and a guy gets on the train and he's got three or four kids, and the kids are running around on the train just crazy. They're actually messing with people and bumping into people and running around acting crazy. And the guy that was on the train before leans over and says, "Hey, your kids are being disruptive. Would you mind like roping them back in?" And the guy says, he's taking a deep breath. He's like, "I'm doing my best to honor the story." But the guy says, "I'm so sorry. We just came from the hospital and their mother just died. And I guess my mind's not in it." And you look at that situation, you think everybody on that train, and I'm not saying they did not have the right to be annoyed. I'm not saying they did not have, like it's not okay for them to think like, man, those kids need to behave. But when you change the look, when you change his perspective, when you actually get to know what this person's going through, now he asks that question, can you rope in your kids? And the guy says, my wife just died. These kids' mother just died. It changes everything. I believe that your perspective at that moment, it almost changes from annoyed to, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened. How can I help you? Like when you genuinely love people like we should. And I think that's huge. I think we start wondering like, is everything I'm believing what it really is. Like driving into work this morning, it's 7:17 in the morning. I drive in. I'm sure I may have cut someone off, or they may have cut me off, or something happened. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to cut you off. Like that's not the way this works, right? It's probably an accident. They didn't mean it, but people make decisions off of that. And the story I want to share for me was when I worked at Papacitos. I was a manager at Papacitos for like 5 years. I worked there for 6 years. And they played this video. There was a video where a guy gets off of, well, first of all, the video starts off with a guy comes into Papacitos. He sits down, and there's an altercation between him and the waiter just gives him back attitude, and they go back and forth, and it's a problem. This is a training video they would show, and they just go back and forth, and it becomes worse and worse, and then it rewinds. So it rewinds that guy from sitting at the table at the restaurant. It rewinds him back out the door, and it rewinds him to a funeral. And then he gets on a plane and he goes back to where he's from. And then it starts back over on the story. And it shows the beginning of the story. The guy picks up the phone and he gets bad news. His mom just died. And he needs to come to Houston because they've got to bury her. So he hops on the plane. He comes to Houston. He goes to the funeral. And after the funeral, he says, Mom's favorite place was Papacitos. So I'm going to go sit down and I'm going to have a meal at Papacitos by myself to honor my mom. And then he sits down and he has this altercation with the waiter. And this time the story changes. The waiter makes a decision to kill him with kindness, to be understanding of his perception, his perspective, and all those different things, and changes the way they look at it. And that waiter, in the previous story, gave him crap and fed him back nonsense and like, oh, you're going to treat me like this, and they go back and forth. But in the new story, where there's a new perspective and then there's a new idea around what happened before that man came into the restaurant, is one of understanding, is one of killing with kindness, a one of loving and caring. And we all have that opportunity to slow down and ask ourselves, where's this person coming from? Where did they come? What happened before they got here? And then we get the opportunity to make a conscious decision, say, how am I going to treat this person? How am I going to behave and interact with this person? Because I can be a jerk and I could push back and we could fight and we can argue and we could tussle. Or I can say, you know what? where do they come from? What's going on? How can I love on this person? And how can I turn a nightmare into something amazing, like a dream experience where I get to connect with this person and I get to tell them, like, I don't know what you went through before you got here, but I love you and I'm going to do my best to understand you and I'm going to do my best to be here for you. Even though we have no history, right now in this moment, I'm going to honor this moment and I'm going to treat you differently because that's my opportunity. And I love that. And if you haven't read this book, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, it's not about success. It's not about money to me. This is about just becoming a better version of yourself. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I love you guys. I hope you're growing. I hope you're becoming better people. And I'll tell you right now, this country needs understanding. The world needs understanding. We need to stop pushing all our beliefs and all this crap on people and just say, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to listen to you today. So first seek to understand people's perspectives and perceptions and just start loving each other, guys. I hope this helps somebody today. I hope it breaks somebody down where you think, like, when you're about to get in that altercation with somebody or bump heads with somebody, where you slow down and think, how can I love on this person? How can I understand them? How can I put myself in their shoes? And instead of kind of pushing back and fighting them with my own perception, my own beliefs, and my own opinionated, version of myself, just saying, no, I'm going to chill and I'm going to be quiet. So guys, I love you. I hope you have an amazing day. If you ever need anything from me, just holler. I hope that any way possible I can help you all to grow in any way that I possibly can. So y'all have an amazing day, and I'll talk to y'all later.